welcome to your magical messaging and mindset tip with Christine Collins. Hey there, it's Christine Collins, and I am here for you today with a few little tips for your mindset over a period of time where you may be feeling overwhelmed. Now, for many of us, that could be the holidays, and for others of us, it could be something else. For example, if you have a big business event where you're going to be more on than usual or doing more peopling than you normally might in your normal day-to-day activities, or if you're doing some family events, and that can be any time of year, or it could certainly be over the holidays as well. I find these little tips and tricks to be very, very helpful for me to protect your energy, to keep your mindset feeling safe and grounded, and to take the best possible care of yourself. So, tip number one is to do the best you can to kind of look ahead into the situation and assess in advance where you think some of the challenges, triggers, or exhaustion could be coming from. So for some of us, that could look like when you look at the situation, you look at the event, maybe you can identify specific times that feel more exhausting or draining for you. There may be some specific types of interactions that you know from past experience have tended to be a mindset drain or a mindset trigger, and kind of pulling out stories and that feeling of ick that we sometimes get when we interact in certain ways. So thinking about what that looks like for you, and it is unique to all of us. For me, it is usually moments where there's kind of a lot of back-to-back things happening without a lot of break or downtime for me to kind of go off on my own. For some people, it could be interacting with a particular person, a family member, someone in your life, or someone that you know you'll be encountering who just kind of evokes, a little extra something that you don't enjoy as much. So observing that as much in advance as you can. Obviously, we can't predict everything, but when you know where some of those places are, it allows you to come up with a plan to help you manage them. So for example, if the exact same scenario comes up every year at the holidays, or if every single time you attend a big event, the same thing seems to happen over and over, or you find yourself in kind of similar situations, that gives you great information to think about, how could I handle that differently this time? To brainstorm it. It's something you could work together with your mindset practitioner or your biz bestie or just someone in your life that's very trustworthy that you can kind of talk through a good plan for yourself. Part of that planning ahead is an excellent plan of self-care, both before and after your event. So some things that I like to do for myself is I like to do some grounding exercises. You might like to do some meditation. I like to use hypnosis. I do a little bit of energetic force field type work. So you have your own tools and practices that work well for you. Plan to do something like that ahead of your event, whether it's in the morning before you're heading off, whether it's just before you're walking in the door somewhere. Think about some little things you can do for yourself, and you might even want to have like a little talisman of some kind. Those things are purely representative to allow us to anchor a positive emotion. So for example, for me, the scent of lavender I find very soothing. So sometimes I'll wear like an essential oil. That may not be the thing for you, but think about what things might be the thing for you. Number two is being aware and having kind of an ongoing awareness of how you are doing in the situation. And that is kind of like having little mini check-ins with yourself throughout the day. Even getting to the bathroom for 5 minutes and just kind of thinking about how you're feeling, noticing what's going on for you, noticing what's coming up for you. Because sometimes we can't change the situation once we're already in the midst of it, but I can tell you that having that awareness noticing it and calling it out within yourself, kind of noticing the source of the ick and maybe the why behind it, it can help to put you back into your power in some situations where maybe you feel a little bit powerless. So even if you can't get out of it, just noticing it, observing it, paying attention to how you're feeling. Sometimes you can do some little things in the moment. If you're able to step away, you can do some tapping in the restroom, some EFT. But even if you can't do that, just noticing the emotion as it's rising up, trying to identify, if possible, what it is, and even better, where the source came from. So if you can kind of like crunch out, oh, this person said this thing, and the next thing that happened is like the story rose up inside me. I started feeling blank, incompetent, useless, whatever that is for you. And just having that awareness gives you back so much power. And then it gives you also great information for areas that you may want to work on further in the future with a mindset practitioner or something else. Number 3 is to automate your boundaries wherever possible. Because, like we were just saying, when you're in the moment, it's much harder sometimes. So in that activity of kind of looking ahead and trying to anticipate some of the things that you may find challenging, if there are opportunities there for you to build in a boundary ahead of time, that can really save you a lot of energy later. So just some examples, and I understand that sometimes these things aren't possible. So kind of pick and choose what actually applies and what actually works for you. But some things that can sometimes be helpful are things like driving separately, if you have that as an option, or creating a situation where maybe you have another event or activity shortly after that you need to leave early to get to, whether or not that activity is actually an activity or it's going home and going to bed. Having little protective boundaries that are pre-designed ahead of your interaction. This is especially helpful if you're a people pleaser, like I sometimes can be, where in the moment, if someone says, hey, do you want to do blah? Or hey, you should do blah. It's a lot harder for me sometimes to just kind of put my foot down and say, no, I don't want to. And even though I understand that we do not owe someone an excuse, so there's a lot, around that for people pleasers that it's like, yeah, no is a complete sentence. I get all of that, but if trying to follow that thinking puts you in a position where you're not going to say no, then do what you need to do to honor yourself and to take good care of your energy so that you can be the best possible person for yourself and for them. Because we all know that when we are not at our best, when we're drained, when we're exhausted, when we feel imposed upon, we can't be our best selves for other people either. They don't get the best side of us. So it's for you and it's for them. So you can think of it that way if it's helpful. You are protecting yourself and honoring your energy, and you are taking good care of every single person that you interact with by coming to the table with your best possible grounded, mindful self that's taking good care of you. And the final step is aftercare. And this one is really important. And I do like to have a plan in advance. I do recommend keeping that plan flexible so that you can decide how tired out you are. So rather than scheduling like something that is, crazy, like locked in, that you've paid for. I mean, if you want to do that, you can, book in a massage or something, that's totally fine. But I like to have kind of a flexible plan for my aftercare following a big event or an interaction that maybe I'm not really excited for. And the reason for that is because sometimes you may emerge afterwards feeling better than you thought, and you may want to go and do something more active. You may want to take yourself shopping or go for a walk, or get together with a more comfortable friend or something. And in other situations, you may feel just dog tired. The only thing you want to do is go home, curl up with a blanket and a book, or maybe watch something relaxing, listen to something relaxing, have a nice meal or a snack or something that feels good to you. And I like having that flexibility because the unpredictable nature of how you're going to feel afterwards is sometimes harder to plan around. So yourself, how you tend to feel following some of these types of events. So I recommend that you customize your plan to what suits you the most. But the number one thing through all of these different suggestions is to honor yourself, to think about your past experience and also any intentions that you have, like if you're trying to change something or you're wanting to do things differently, factor all of that in. And most importantly, take good care of you. We need you. The world needs you. Your mindset matters. Your mental well-being matters. And it matters more than accidentally miffing someone who had an expectation of you. So make sure that you keep that in mind as you go forward into your plans, whatever they may be. And I hope you found this helpful. And until we connect again, lovely, I wish you a most magical and creative rest of your day. Thanks for listening. This is Christine Collins at transformcreate.com.